All right, what's going on, everybody? Elliot here from Movie Files. This is a requested one. This is people been hitting me up. Where's the Miss Marvel content? Where's Amanda? Where's Chris? Well, I've heard the calls, and here we are. Now, this isn't live. This is a pre-recorded video. I'm gonna try to be in the live chat as I premiere this video a little bit later today. But I'm just so stoked to be back with the crew, the gang, talking about a really fun show that I don't know if it's getting the attention that it definitely deserves. So we're gonna break down this fourth episode, give you our just general take of the series so far, theories, predictions, all that fun stuff. You know, we geek out when we talk about Marvel, and I'm so excited to have the team back. But before we get into the discussion, like, share, comment, subscribe, not only to myself, but these content creators that I'm going to bring in here in a second, Amanda and Chris. You're going to love their content. So speaking of Amanda and Chris, let me bring her in first. We're talking about the one and only incredible person, incredible content creator. So stoked to actually talk to her about Miss Marvel and all the fun stuff we're getting into in today's discussion. I'm talking about the one and only Amanda from Candid Cinema. What's up?
Hi, I am so happy we're doing this. I missed you guys, and
been a
we get to
minute.
talk about Miss Marvel, Marvel in general. I'm just so excited.
Yes. So excited to see you, Amanda. So excited to have the crew back talking about this show and all the fun stuff we have lined up for the folks. But before we get into the discussion, Amanda, if this is the first time people are seeing you and hear your content and hear your opinions, why don't you let them know who you are and where they can find you?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I have to give a shout out to Elliot because he's been smashing it all over the place on social media. He's everywhere. So I just want to give him a shout out because he's amazing. You guys can always follow me over at AMX Indie Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'm an entertainment journalist. I have my words on Collider, Geek Bomb, and over now at Ready Steady Cut, which is awesome, and my own website, candidcinema.com. I watched a little Thor this morning, so that's going to be up soon as possible. And also right after this stream, or whenever you're watching these, you guys can jump on over to the Suit Up Geek Fix podcast on YouTube, where we also cover Marvel and the recent movies that come out, and we give a nice breakdown and all of that.
Very awesome. And we're going to get Amanda's thoughts here in a second as far as the film she saw. No spoilers, but yeah, I think you guys can assume, we're talking about Thor, Love and Thunder. So, Amanda, so good to see you. So excited to have you back. And Miss Marvel, so excited to talk about it and get your thoughts on it. But this isn't a full, complete team without our homie from the East Coast representing New York. So excited to have him back. Had him on a couple days ago. We watched Doctor Strange, had a fun watch along. And this guy's take is pretty awesome. And I'm excited to get his take on Miss Marvel. Talking about the one and only Chris from Tait. What's up, man?
What up?
You're back, man. We are back. It's so great to have you on, man, and talking about this show, Chris, that I don't know if people just kind of, summertime, things you can't watch everything, but this is a show that I think a lot of people talking about.
They sleeping on it. It's all good though. We're here to wake them up.
Hey, you said it best, man. But Chris, if this is the first time people are tuning in and seeing you and want to know where they can find you, man, why don't you let them know where that stuff can be found?
What up? Shout out to the home team, to the A squad. I missed you guys. It doesn't feel right having Wednesdays without talking to you folks. So good to be back. My name is Chris Tait. I represent Tait's Take on YouTube. You can find my information in the description right here. And I do movie reviews, TV reviews, trying to give you a little background on the content, just so you know if I think it's worth checking out. So you can find me on YouTube. I got my Twitters in there. I have Instagram. Then I'm just dabbling, sticking my toes into TikTok, just a smidge, just to keep up with the kids. But yeah, happy to be a part of the journey. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. The TikToks is something, man. I've been dabbling in it for a little bit now, and it's a whole other animal, man. But I'm sure once you get on there, man, you're gonna blow up like the show should be blowing up. I'll say that, man. So,
Ooh, nice.
Before we get into the discussion about Ms. Marvel, like I said, one of our panelists here got a chance to see a film today, and I'm trying to bring up here. Let me see this little tweet that Amanda put up earlier today. And Amanda, again, I know there's an embargo up there. We can't really talk too much about it, but based on these comments here, Amanda, any more elaboration or anything you want to say as far as if people should be excited for this film?
People should be very excited for Thor: Love and Thunder. I think that this movie really just brings Thor back to his roots in all cases. I think that's the best way that I can say it. I really just had fun with this. I love that Taika co-wrote this, and he directed it. I felt it was really grounded, even though you have a story about gods and then like Gore the God Butcher coming in. So it's like, I felt like there was so much heart that was missing from Ragnarok. I felt like, you guys know how I feel about Ragnarok.
Yes, we do. Yes.
So
We do.
for
Well
me to,
documented.
sorry, I gotta keep saying it because for me to love like Thor: Love and Thunder, like that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
So I loved everyone in this. I thought they all had their time to shine. The chemistry was great. The soundtrack, I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan, so like that was just aces for me. Action's great. Christian Bale's Christian Bale. Take that as you will. But it's a lot of fun and it's really well paced and there's key emotional beats and it's funny at the same time. The key word is balance, and that's
Balance.
balance for
Nice.
this one. Yeah.
Very nice. And your tweet got me excited because I know we talked about it before as far as Taika writing, which he does have. This is from everything you just said and everyone I've heard say, this is Taika Waititi's film. You can definitely see his imprint all over the film. So I'm stoked for it. Luckily I will be checking it out tonight. And Chris, man, just your thoughts on Amanda's opinion on the film, and does it get you more excited for Thor: Love and Thunder?
It does, knowing that we have a Ragnarok hater on our hands. It's good. It's good to hear. We needed a win. I talked about it. We didn't get the home run from Strange that we wanted.
Right.
We don't know what we're going to get from Wakanda Forever. Everyone's a little nervous about that. So I'm happy to hear that this is good. She didn't call it a home run, but she can't say everything. It is one little live stream. So I'm excited to check it out for sure.
Yeah, I'm stoked. And from, again, you guys can watch the history and watch the past tapes. Amanda's not the biggest Ragnarok fan. She has her reasons why that she's explained in the past. But hearing that someone that wasn't a fan of Ragnarok is loving this film, appreciating this film, gets me really stoked for it. So, because I am a fan of Ragnarok, so I would just imagine I'm be over the moon about it. So, very excited to talk more about it. And let us know in the chat, guys, how excited you are for Thor: Love and Thunder. But that's another conversation for another day. The conversation right now needs to be about Miss Marvel. And the first thing I want to talk about with you all before diving into this fourth episode, starting with you, Amanda. Now, there's the Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, obviously came out same day. There's been various movies that's come out during the time of Miss Marvel. Top Gun Maverick making $1 billion. You have all these other films that, the box office is back. People are out now. So there are some understanding of why the show isn't as, they had a poll that came out or some statistics that it's the least viewed premiere of any of the Disney Plus shows, which I think as it's a full year, we've gotten 6 or 7 shows. I think the numbers will kind of balance themselves out. But starting with you, Amanda, what's your thoughts on why people are missing out on this show and why they should be watching the show?
That's such a loaded question because I feel like it's a little bit of everything. I feel like Miss Marvel's not well known because Moon Knight low-key suffered the same thing. Like not many people were talking about it. Right. But like it was still like well received. So that's why like this is also well received. Like Rotten Tomatoes is like going crazy for it. Right. So for me, I think like you said, it's placement. Why are we putting Obi-Wan Kenobi on the same freaking day? Like exactly. And it's not like they didn't market Miss Marvel, but you're marketing it against Star Wars, which Star Wars, no offense to Marvel, will literally always trump an MCU thing. And like this is clear what we're seeing. So I'm just worried about Andor going at the same time as She-Hulk because that's going to also drown it. Yep. I think it's also because it's kid friendly. It's a 16-year-old. No one wants to see coming of age stuff. I think like that's another thing that's holding it back. And it's just a multitude of reasons. It's a female-led show on top of that. You have, unfortunately people don't want to see certain things. Either like it's Muslim representation or Pakistani representation on top of that, which is like, bam, it's 2022. Like you're really not going to watch something over something that small and like stupid. Like that's what I don't understand. Yeah. So there's so many things holding Miss Marvel back. But I love it. I think Iman Vellani is a freaking star. That kid is from Markham, which is literally in my hometown. So representing the 6, and I'm so happy about that. So I was just blown away by it. I think it's good for what we're doing with Kamala Khan. It's an introduction to this character, and it's making me sad that it came out when it did, and it's all Star Wars' fault. And Obi-Wan Kenobi wasn't even that great. Hot take.
Don't even get me started on Obi. Amanda, listen. Well said, Amanda, and I totally agree with a lot of your sentiments there. Chris, man, your thoughts, your takes on Amanda? What's your opinion on the matter as far as Miss Marvel not getting, the praise that a lot of us think it should get?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you break down the analytics, like there's only one real reason why people aren't watching it like we thought they would, like they watch the other Disney shows, is because we haven't been doing lives every week on Wednesdays. So when people don't get
solved it
content from us, when they don't, when we're when we're depriving the people, I don't know how you expect the world to watch the show. So kind of a stupid question. But in all seriousness, I thought that this show, I think a lot of what Amanda said was what I agree with, but I think the biggest thing was like just the kiddie aspect to it. I think people thought this was like just the childish thing because Moon Knight is, to me, and the comics, like I never heard of Moon Knight in the comics, and I didn't hear of Miss Marvel in the comics. But when you see a trailer for Moon Knight, you recognize that this is darker. It seems more adult themed, of course, and and then people start picking it up that way. And I'd be interested to hear just how far behind Miss Marvel was for the streaming numbers and how it plays out in the end, just to see how different it is, because the ratings are good, or they seem pretty good. Mm-hmm. I just think it's just I don't watch Star Wars, so I don't know. Like, I guess in Disney's mind, they could say like, well, it's just streaming, so like you could just stream it the next day. They might think that, but I don't know that they're releasing content on other days. So it's like, why not just share the love and just have like a Thursday release?
Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday,
Tuesday, or something.
Yep.
So yeah, I think to be fair, like we're watching this show because we're content creators, but we all didn't have. Well, none of us had that excitement level coming into it. I don't think we did. Maybe Amanda had maybe a little bit more than Elliot and I, but we didn't have that. So like maybe if we weren't creators, we wouldn't be watching it. So it's just, I think it's just like one of those things. Like it wasn't. I don't think it's marketed right. Like it is a younger show, but
right.
We shouldn't have thought it was like a childish show. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I agree with a lot what both of you all said. As far as even Moon Knight's probably the closest thing. As far as like these are the first two shows from the other shows that these unknown characters, right? But to sell for Moon Knight, obviously, besides Supernatural, Oscar Isaac, he's a household name at this point in his career. Amon, brand new. Miss Marvel, 2013, I think she was introduced in the comics, even newer than some of these other characters that we're getting in the MCU. So it's a lot of like, we'll see, we'll see. But I think it's a hope that by the end of the run in 2 weeks when it ends, that it's going to be one of those shows that people are going to want to go back and watch it. Maybe, the whole binge versus watching weekly type of show. I don't know if it's the binging idea, like, I'll watch it, but I'll wait till it's all available at once. That might be something, especially if rumors are to be true, as far as like if we expect to get like some big finale, some big tie-ins to Miss Marvel, Brie Larson, Monica Rambeau appearances or whatnot, and then people will jump and watch it. So I hope that's the case, that they catch up to it, kind of like a Kim's Convenience type of situation where it finds life after it's aired. So we'll see, but we're watching it. We watched the 4th episode, and that's what we're here to talk about. Full spoilers ahead. Seeing Red, Amanda, before we break it all down, initial thoughts compared to the other 3 episodes. Where does episode 4 land for you as far as enjoyment goes?
I like this better than the 3rd episode. I think 1 and 2 were kind of like a package that I really enjoyed. I felt like the structure was really strong and the tone was consistent for the first 2 episodes, and they knew what they wanted to tell in that case. But then I feel like episode 3 really just was really messy for me, and like there was so much information being thrown at us that it was hard for me to keep up with it, and it just felt a bit off for me. Before, like 3 and 4 now feel like a package deal because the information is like a bit more explained in that case. The reason why I love 4 is that it was really fast paced and we took Kamala out of Jersey City. So I was kind of worried to see if she could stand on her own. I think that's like the ultimate testament of a hero. If you can like take them out of a team, they can stand on their own, or like a brand new hero to kind of face new things. So I think that in this case, it just made her even stronger for me. But yeah, 4 definitely better than 3.
I'm right there with you. 3 was a lot thrown at us, and there's an element about this show that I'm going to praise the family element. Kamala is incredible. The teenage coming of age stuff is great, but it's funny that the superhero aspect of the show to me is kind of the more weaker elements to me, which we'll dive into. But Chris, same question for you, man. As far as this episode compared to the other 3, where does it kind of rank for you? And then we'll obviously break it down a little bit further.
Yeah, I was very impressed with episode 1. and I was like, okay, this came out of nowhere. This is great.
Yep.
Episode 2 was still good, took a little drop off. Then 3, I was like, okay, now it's too much. Like now, like are they losing me already? So to Amanda's point, 4 helped bring me back a little bit, but still, I think 1 and 2 are still trumping 3 and 4. And I got to see what 5 and 6 brings to really pull the story together. I totally agree with you on the superhero piece. Like, it's a little lacking. It's sometimes a little cheesy. And also I wonder how she would be this good at it this quickly. Like, she's kind of like a pro.
Powers
She's even fighting is it the red, not the Red Hood, but whatever they call the guy with
the red dagger.
Red dagger. Even I'm like, you wouldn't like you. That's very tricky stuff you're pulling off right there.
Yeah.
So the performances is what's carrying this show for me. So like, the story is losing me. Like, and I know I'll get back to it, and I got to watch some breakdowns and see what I'm missing here and there. The story is losing me a little bit. It's a little bit. They're throwing a lot at us, but it's just the performances of especially of Kamala, or Kamala. Sorry, respect to the vice president. Especially Iman's character. Like, she's killing it. Her mom is killing it. Like, the family dynamic is just killing it. Like, that's carrying it. So like, I'm ignoring the fact that I might be lost a little bit.
Yeah,
because the performances are so strong.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. The family element to me has been the I don't want to say saving grace, because I've enjoyed the other elements, the friends, all that stuff, but that family's great. That family dynamic is it the best? I mean, I don't want to say the best. It's top tier family in the MCU. I'm trying to just, obviously Ant-Man has his family involved. The Black Panther family, T'Challa and all of them, Hawkeye. But that dynamic, it feels like I can walk outside and meet them, right? You can meet Kamala, her mom, her brother, her sister-in-law, her dad. It just feels like they're humans, right? I love the chemistry they have. But that superhero stuff to me is like the second thought to me. It's like I understand what they're doing, but I'm just like, I actually enjoy more of her story, high school, family, drama, all this stuff. But one thing I will say is consistent as we jump into the discussion. The soundtrack is fire. Like, I don't know who's producing this show, but
I definitely been shazamming some of the tracks,
bro. Right? I'm like, yo, let me guess, the fire soundtrack. But getting into the conversation, starting with you, Chris, Kamala, Miss Marvel, her and her mom head to back home at the request of their grandmother. And one of the cool things that I loved about kind of this first scene here is, number one, you talked about style earlier, Chris, as far as episode 1, which I think episode 1 and 2 definitely kind of put its imprint, put its own tone into it. But the whole text messaging on the screen thing as she's talking to a close friend, I love this moment here, and also a little Easter egg of her sloth that we know is from her website, or her YouTube channel, and also that Captain Marvel shirt that she got, their little logo there. I'm loving the little Easter eggs. But going back to you, Chris, it's your thoughts on, again, we talked about episode 1 and 2, but the style is just something that really stands out to me. The tone of this show is very very unique.
That's what caught me in episode 1. I love that style. It gave me a little flashbacks of Into the Spider-Verse. I love the graphics. I love the comic book. Like, I love all that stuff. I think they went away from it a little bit. I think we get a little bit more in this episode, but that's what caught me. I was like, oh, they're really, like, they're trying, like, they're going for it. So I was into it.
100%. Amanda, your thoughts too on kind of that tone, that style, as Chris said, Into the Spider-Verse, which I think one of the producers came out and said they were inspired by some of those elements.
Nice.
I think they definitely confirmed that. And also, Scott Pilgrim, OG of that kind of style too, with Edgar Wright. So your thoughts on Amanda on this opening scene, but also just kind of the stamp of uniqueness and style and freshness that the show has to offer.
Oh, I agree that it's just so unique and different. Like Chris said, like within the first 2 episodes, I was like, oh my God, this is like so fresh for like a 16-year-old kid. And I felt like everything that was happening in her mind was projected onto the screen. And I thought that was really interesting because it's something that we haven't really seen in live action, that they play around with it a bit. But I like that. It feels comic booky, but it definitely got lost in episode 3. It was like, we're going to give you every single piece of this backstory and explain who she actually is, and then forget how to like structure the episode the same way as the other 2. So the third episode is always the odd one out. And also, I've noticed that the third episode is always kind of like the wonky one out of the 6 in every single series.
Kind of
and it's so
that,
I don't know why, but like, you gotta fix this, guys. That means longer seasons.
Maybe WandaVision maybe is an exception. Maybe WandaVision 3.
WandaVision is the exception.
To
But
your
everything
point,
else,
Amanda, I'm gonna have to go back and see because I know the directors of the first two episodes of this show were the guys that did the Bad Boys 3 and will be doing
yeah,
Bad Girl. So I'm always curious on why I know why a show does have various directors, but sometimes I just wish that some shows would just stick to a tonal, creative team behind all 6 episodes. But again, they're busy, they're doing their thing. But I think that's might be one of the reasons because we have a new director trying to emulate the style, but also trying to bring in their own style, and sometimes it doesn't mix that well. But getting into, I love the parallels between her grandmother and her mother when her grandmother sees her mother again and she's like, "Oh, your skin is a little bit dry." It's like, "Oh, makes perfect sense, mother." The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Chris, man, your thoughts again? I think one of the highlights we talked about already is just that whenever they bring in a new family member, it's just like, I know these people, I love these people already, and I can't wait to learn more about them. Your thoughts on grandmother Kamala Khan and just the introduction of her character?
Yeah, one thing I love about the family overall, and I'm not in this culture. I'm not from Pakistan, but I just have a feeling that they're doing it in an authentic way. That if I was from there, I would respect it and
Yeah.
understand that they're really trying. Like even there's a scene, I guess, when they take the brother's shoes. Like
Mm.
I've never heard of that, but I bet that's a thing that they do in their culture. Um, but then my favorite part about this scene is when the grandma says that she just came from a party. I was like, oh man, this is my kind of grandma. So I was
Right.
like,
love
she
her.
came in hot, and I was like, this is what I wanted to see. Like the cousins were like, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. And then it gets weird when the cousins are trying to lead her in town and all that. But it was the grandma that took that moment for me.
100%. Amanda, your thoughts too on just this the family dynamic, which I will say, I'm so happy. I was looking up Miss Marvel the other day, or the Marvels that are coming out next year.
Mm.
The Kamala Khan's family will be in that movie, so I'm glad that they're going to continue to allow them to be in the MCU and interact with other characters. But just your thoughts on the grandmother here, and just again this family dynamic that just seems to just be clicking on all cylinders.
It's literally like you said, my favorite aspect of the show is the family dynamic. I love that there's so much like honesty and communication between the family, even though they are strict. And in this case, like the grandma's like really cool, and she wants to see Kamala and like be with her and like talk to her about her her own past and like where like she comes from. And I think that was that's what made this episode so very important. But I love like the generational differences and like
Yep.
the mother with the grandmother, it's a different vibe. And then I feel like in this episode, like Kamala's mother really just looked back. It's like, damn, like I was a kid once too. I was a
Yep.
16-year-old, I was a 20-year-old, and like I had to deal with my own mom. So I think that this was like an important episode for all three of them to kind of go back to that and be reflective in that case.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more. And I love to Chris's point as far as the grandmother being cool. Normally traditionally in shows when the mother's kind of stricter, you understand that they got it from their parents, but no, it's complete opposite because she had to almost, from what we'll talk about later, she almost had to mother herself because her mom was so invested in these theories and what happened to the Bengals. So she wasn't able to be maybe as strict or as loving as she wanted her to be. So she's kind of projecting how she would have want to been raised
Yeah.
to Kamala. So again, the dynamics of this show with the family and the performances are just, Chris mentioned it, even not being from that particular culture, it feels authentic. It feels like reminds me of my grandmother, right? And because my mom, it has a little bit different dynamic as far as how they, raise and strict and stuff like that. So I just love how relatable this show can be for many of us. But diving into kind of the more MCU stuff here. This is where we get the genetics conversation that she has with her grandmother. We're bringing up the Jinn, which again, not a big comic book Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel stuff, but the Jinn stuff, the Bengals attempting to make a message to her, the visions of the train. Amanda, is that mystery working for you so far? Where the bands and where the history of it, and do you think it's going to have a payoff?
It's tough to say because I have no idea how
Yeah,
she
this is all
fits
brand new
into the rest of
territory.
it.
Yeah,
Exactly. So it's not like we've heard of like celestials or like other stuff like that. Like this is
yeah,
new territory entirely. So while
yep,
I'm watching this, I'm trying to process the information while Googling at the same time. And
right,
it's not working. It's really not
yeah.
working. But then in that case, while I'm watching the episode and I'm getting that information, it's like, well, how does she fit? How is this history going to fit into the MCU? Because they're throwing everything at us and like every single way in like other heroes, other
Mhm.
shows and movies. So for me to like kind of forget about all that and keep it contained, like it's really hard for me because it's their fault
Yeah.
for making me want to connect everything all the time. But I'm confused. I'm confused, and I have no idea where this is gonna lead to. It's the first time where I have like literally no theories,
Yeah.
because it's just like much like Moonlight. Because Moon Knight, I didn't really have that many theories for
Yeah,
Moon Knight, just
Arthur
because
Harrow's like a D-list character that was the main villain. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like it's just I'm going with the flow. I think that's
Yep.
the best thing, and trying to process it.
Which to bring it to you, Chris, that can be refreshing, right? As far as not knowing all the material, the source material, obviously knowing that Marvel has remixed the character from just everyone complaining about her power set being completely different from the comics. But does this mystery, is it working for you so far, Chris, in regards to the Bengals and where it comes from, the vision and all the different stuff that we got going in the show? And also, too, I guess, just to tie it back to episode 3, some people are speculating that she might be connected to the Kree because we saw a blue alien hand, which would obviously tie her to Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel, because we know that she spent so many years with the Kree. So just your thoughts on that element of surprise and if it's working for you so far, Chris.
It's not working for me, but it's not taking me out of the show. It's not making the show whack for me. It's just like I'm not following it yet. I trust maybe they'll bring it back. But there was a lot of times in Moon Knight where I kind of got lost in the story, and then I think in the end, toward the end, I got it back. So I'm patient, and we'll see where the last 2 episodes take us. But right now, I'm just like lost. I'm like, okay, this is a lot of new lore, and there's a lot of different stories in the recent Marvel projects that the casual fan is going to have a hard time keeping up with all this stuff. So.
It's good to your point, and it's going to be very interesting because I think Phase 4, I think a lot of big complaints right there is, or that people have out there, is like, where are we going, right? Shang-Chi introduces us to that whole dimension that we didn't know, the whole realm, and obviously we're diving deep into the multiverse, the Eternals, Celestials, now this, which we'll talk a little bit about later, as far as a veil hiding us from this other. It's a lot, like Amanda said. Like it's okay. This is a lot to take in all at once, and I imagine, like Chris said, hopefully we'll get a little bit more of that foundation in the next 2 episodes. But knowing that it's Marvel, they're going to probably expand on this for the future movies, a la Captain Marvel 2 and so on and so forth. Maybe even a season 2. But getting back into again that stuff, mystery, not really working on entirely. But then they hit us back with the more human, emotional family. She's out, Kamala. I think you mentioned it earlier, Amanda. Alani, if I'm not mistaken, is her last name. She is just fantastic. Like her comedy beats, and she's 19 years old. It's yes, Chris, and this is like her first big project, bro.
Yeah.
And she just is clicking on all cylinders. Her comedic beats when she's out, they can't go inside because of the whole no jeans policy. They have to eat outside. She's hot as hell, talking to her new cousins. She sees her auntie who she hasn't seen in years, and it's just, again, not to beat on this horse, but the family stuff, the conversations that they have is electric, Amanda. Your thoughts on this sequence here before we get into them visiting the old town?
She's absolutely hilarious. The kid is a star. And like, I know that we have like longevity with her because she's so young. Like she's going to be here forever, depending on how like she fits in other projects, but she's so funny. And like, she's so sarcastic and her reactions are amazing. But yeah, the banter between the family, like you said, it's carrying it for me. I think that the first 2 episodes have more of a balance between superhero and family and what she was trying to like struggle with. And now it's like completely fading and it's all over the place. Like there's no clear balance going on in like 3 and 4, for me anyway. But these scenes are golden. I like the family dynamic, and as much as like we need more of it if we're gonna try to get through 5 and 6 with all this information being thrown at us.
Which obviously I'm hoping for the best, but I think, I think we're going to dive deeper into the more superhero elements, because I think Marvel, and this is the thing we've been talking about for almost a year now, this whole 6 episode arc is so silly to me that they keep going by this architect. Now, I think they said She-Hulk's going to be 9 episodes, and obviously we know WandaVision and would have had 9. So I hope that they just break out of that mold and let the stories be what they need to be instead of for this mandate of 6 episodes. But I digress. Chris, man, your thoughts on this family dynamic, Kamala's comedic timing, and just her being like perfect casting for this character?
Yeah, I think she's great. And we kind of touched on it last weekend or this weekend that just passed, that this is what I wanted from America Chavez. Like I didn't connect with America, and if it was Iman, that would have changed that movie for me. I mean, for that character at least. I think she's perfect in this role, and like you said, like, you know, the superhero aspect is lacking, but that's fine. Like that can come with time. But if you get the like
Yeah.
character that we like as your regular self, that's when you win, because like
Yep.
that's
Be
the harder
careful.
part.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, we're all gonna like your powers. We're all gonna like when you're souped up. But if we can like you, you know, regular, then
Yeah.
you're good to go. So I'm all
I
about
couldn't
it.
agree with you more, man. This is yeah, and I guess to take the good with the bad, if I were an audience, of course I would want the best of both worlds. A great character backstory, fleshing out the character, and also a awesome hero story. But if I were to pick between the two, which the show seeming to do so far, because one is definitely lacking in the department, I would want to get more of the character stuff because I do want to care for when they do gradually build for her to become the superhero that we know she's going to be. Like Chris said, you're going to love her. So when she does have that moment, it just makes it even more satisfying because he's like, you love her without the suit, and then you're going to love her even when she's in combat. So well said there, Chris. And just to kind of get back into her more learning about, and that's the thing about this show, she's not only discovering who she is as a superhero to be, but she's discovering who she is and more of her family. She goes to the old town, which just from an aesthetic standpoint, I love that they didn't allow, when we go to Pakistan, it's not all grainy, and like whenever like Americans shoot stuff like that, it makes it seem so weird and just
Like
grainy
they're at
and
war.
like run down third world country. It's like, no, this is livid. It's beautiful. It's luscious. It's people happy. It's people being people, normal. And I love it. I think too, with the people that are creating the show, have that authenticity to bring how they were raised, how they would, bring it to us Americans over here or, whatnot. So I just love the fleshing out of this world as we see her meeting, as Chris alluded to earlier. She has her mask on, and this is where we get our new character. And take it away, Chris, as far as this Red Dagger guy. I think his name was Kareem. How do you like this guy? He got some swagger dagger there. What you think about this character here?
I thought he was cool. One thing I like that he made her look stupid, like how dumb that eye thing looks. So I was like, great call out, kid, because that thing looks terrible. And I'm glad that he made a point to show that. And he dissed those super big sunglasses from earlier. So I was like, okay, good job that the show doesn't think that these things look good. So again, I thought that she was too good with her powers here. This scene, especially right here, where you're showing where she was able to take his out and build a new one for herself. Like, I'm like, you're just too good at this. Like, Spider-Man was getting his ass beat for like a good amount of time.
All his films, besides every film he was producing.
Spider-Man. What else?
She's like an expert. So that's the only thing that's the only thing I'll take away. But I thought he was fine. Especially I was like, okay, now they're working together. I thought it was like fine. Like I have nothing bad to say about him. It was just like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah. And so I will rebuttal, because I will say, to her defense, unlike Kate Bishop, who, we love Haley Steinfeld, but her, you guys know, I will never forgive the disrespect to Kingpin and how she was able to just, kick his ass. But I will say, for her power set, it seems to be very protective over her. So I think sometimes it is a matter of her skill that she's using, but also it seems to be very like blubber. Like whenever something's happening, it like help, like, let me help you here, let me help you there. So I think there's a little bit of like a symbiotic relationship where it's trying to protect her as well as she has a little bit of combat skills. Amanda,
that's a good point, but I think they should make her look more surprised when things are working.
When things are happening.
She's doing superhero landing. She's like, she should be like, oh shit, wow, like, oh, that worked. Like a little more of that, then I would be like, okay, I'll rock.
And I will say, before we go to you, man, that, and I hate when shows, do the whole montage and it's like 15 seconds. But I think, and then to go back to Chris' point, I think that they're saying that moment that she had with Bruno on the rooftop was getting more of the abilities and stuff. So, but Amanda, do you agree with that, or do you feel like it is a little bit, a little rushed as far as the honing in of her skills?
It's 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go back to that. Like, I'm going to go back to 6 episodes because you know what? I just get so excited when I see her powers. I don't even care how she has them. I don't even care that she's surprised. Like, I completely understand, but I'm like, you know what? I watched this episode on the subway ride to go watch Thor: Love and Thunder this morning. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to have superhero fatigue, and that's what I'm worried about. So the faster things happen for me now, I'm like, yeah, we get it, whatever, but like, let's get to the point. That's the mood that I'm in, because I think we are being like slapped from like DC and Marvel like constantly back and forth, that anything that's like at a faster pace and like gets the
Get
hero
to the point.
story
Yeah.
like that, I think that's where I'm at right now. So the powers aren't bothering me. I think that the
I
cosmic
got you.
powers are working really well, and that's actually my favorite moment from this entire episode. The fight with Kareem, I thought was really strong.
It was more to me, to your point, man. I like that scene's action, if you want to call action sequence, more than what we get a little bit later in the episode.
Yeah,
Because number one, I love their
That was
banter.
random.
yeah,
Ninja Turtle comment.
yeah,
What did he say? Come with me if you want to live. Obviously,
yeah,
Terminator 2 fans,
So
that
I'm just
reference.
kidding. I always wanted to say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're back and forth. It's good. And, hey, man, Kamala, she out here. She got Bruno, who's googly eyes for.
Right.
My man, I can't think of his name right now, whose mom is the Gen leader. And then now this guy, Kamala, man, she's
She's going ham.
she's getting all these guys, man. It's just the powers, She's more confident in herself.
Yeah.
But we go from there to really kind of diving deeper into this whole Red Dagger situation. Amanda, we see them go behind the secret door. We meet Waleem, I think was his name, or Waleem, I can't remember his name correctly, but
Yeah.
we meet him and we get a little bit more. And this is where, again, we get the character stuff, the human stuff, family stuff. Then we got to get the MCU stuff in here. And this is where I was like, okay, I'll just, as Amanda said earlier, I'll just take it for what it is, and hopefully they'll explain a little bit further. But Amanda, this is a whole new world, as we talked about. And again, for people that aren't watching this show, if they watch a movie with Miss Marvel, like, wait, who are these people? Dimension realms? It's a lot going on right now. Your thoughts on, again, he said that there's number one, we have this new group, the Red Daggers, who essentially are like almost Doctor Strange level type of, they protect people. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is new. Your thoughts on this whole new discovery that we have here? There's brand new, a whole new world, as they say in Aladdin.
That's what it felt like. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, so much stuff is happening.
Yeah.
This two different planes thing has to connect with like, I don't know, like the TVA. Like I'm trying to connect it to like
Right?
what's happening with
Yeah.
Loki, the multiverse. Like there has to, because they're same colors. You can't put
Yeah.
the same colors and have us not think and connect stuff, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand that. But the two different planes, like it's fascinating. It's good stuff. There's so much that they can do with it. But at the same time, I don't want them to set up so much and then it's like, well, where did this go?
Yeah.
Where's this loose end? Like, what is this happening?
I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, Amanda, with these 6 episodes.
Exactly. So, like, when are we going to see Miss Marvel again? A couple of years from now. When are we seeing Loki again? 5 years from now. Like, that entire timeline, all of that is not being connected. And I think that's what's irritating me with Phase 4. And I hope that, like, it fixes itself. It leads to something, like, as we've been saying, but it's irritating. I'm going with the flow, but
I hear you. I'm trying to, and it's obviously so hard to do this 10 years ago, but I was familiar with a lot of the MCU characters prior to the MCU kicking off, but I'm just trying to, Asgard being brand new, right? And going to all that different stuff and dive in. And it wasn't as galactic until we got to later into phase 2 with the Guardian stuff, but it is a lot to kind of take in, Chris. Your thoughts, and again, we meet the Red Daggers in this one scene, and they're the protectors of the people for the threats that are unseen. Again, do Wong, Doctor Strange know about the Red Daggers? And then we meet this whole new realm of this dimension that covers over our reality, and they want to classic superhero. They want to consume our world to like inhabit their reality or their world into ours, which again, we see that 1,000 times. But your thoughts on all this exposition dump at this moment, man?
That's a great word. Dump. It's a lot. And I think if this was real, like if the world has so many groups of protection and we're still out here getting our ass kicked, like the groups got to be better. Like this is a lot. I was completely lost with this, but I just chalked it up. I said, look, they got 2 more episodes. They'll explain this some more. I'm just not there. I have no idea what this means. This came out of nowhere. It's like, for a new show like this with a hero that we don't know much about, like they're hitting us with a lot. So they must have an idea of where they want to go with it, because it is a lot.
it is a lot, and I will say to the show's defense, this is when you meet a new character. Hey, this comes with package B, C, D, her family, her powers, her lore, the world. So it is, and again, this is I guess the benefit of a show versus a 2-hour film for Miss Marvel. It allows us to I guess just gradually introduce this idea and this element. Which to Amanda's point, again, I don't know if this was something that was mentioned. I can't remember the name of the dimension in Shang-Chi. It was like Talo, I think was the name of it. I don't know if it has any relation to that because just the fact that we live in MCU 616 lives in a reality where there's multiple realities within the existence of their reality seems so crazy to me that we're 13 years into this MCU that we're now just hearing about this. So hopefully it has some ties. It's I don't know. Ant-Man is a tie into that. The what is it? The quantum manium, the quantum realm.
It's gonna be a whole other thing.
That's a whole.
If that doesn't tie in because of Kang to Loki, like I'm gonna actually get mad. I will actually get mad at them.
It's a lot. It's a lot, and I assume that we're gonna. I don't know. We'll get into it when we wrap up the episode, but it's a lot, as you all can see. It's a lot to take in, and people at home that read the comments are like, "Oh, it'll this, that, and the other," But we'll see where it leads to. But ultimately, Kamala's powers come from this. Again, the Jinn in the comics aren't even really a big threat, but again, it seems like they're going to mix the Jinn in with the Kree potentially. But again, they want to overtake the worlds in the Bangle, which is so extremely important. I don't know if you would allow a 16-year-old with this much of importance. I don't know. I was surprised that Wally didn't take the Bangle to protect it, but just like it calls to you, it speaks to you. So I guess it's meant for you. But something that valuable to be in that young of a person's hand seems a little bit misguided. But neither here nor there. This is when the show, to me, and whenever we transition to these newer characters, we go to the Supermax, we go to the damage control. I'm not vibing with it so far, if I'm being honest with you all. I don't really like this damage control, and I don't like this Jinn group. They seem a little bit out of place to me, but they managed to escape. They take their cuffs off. The leader of the group leaves her son behind because of what he did last week. Amanda, how you feeling about the Jinn group, Supermax, damage control, which is something new to us? Is not damage control, but like this super max. Like, is there other super villains there? But your thoughts on all that stuff that we got going on?
I mean, they're okay.
I'm not a fan of this group.
I'm okay with it. I think they're villains that need to be there because, like, what else are they going to put at this point? Considering we're getting all that backstory with the clandestines and all of that stuff, so. It works for the story. It doesn't necessarily mean that it works as like villains, a group of villains. I don't know. We may never hear about the Supermax prison ever again after this. Like we may never hear about it, or we may never hear it, right? So I don't know. They're okay. It's what it is. I'm more focused on everything else that's happening, but like
I'll say this. I'll take the Jinn over the
Flag Smashers.
Yes. I would
support
them. But to your point, Amanda, what you were talking about, when you said as far as familiarity goes, as far as if we'll see this Supermax again, when I was looking at that picture, it made me think of She-Hulk, which not for the bad reasons of how the CGI looks, but if you guys look at this picture here, that design, as you can see on the screen, looks very similar to that design of, let me pull it up here. That structure in the middle, like kind of right of the screen, doesn't it kind of look similar?
It does.
Yeah, it does.
So maybe we'll get more, to your point, Amanda, as far as like continuing this, get more of that with She-Hulk. Obviously, that will be the next show. So, but Chris, man, how are you feeling about this this group here? And the mama, man, she's cold blooded. She's like, son, you done effed up. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave you behind. Learn a life lesson. Tough love.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way that you feel about them. I was more annoyed with them, I think, episode 3. And the son is kind of annoying. I think you were asking his name. I think it's Cameron or Cameron.
Yeah, yep.
I think it was just so crazy to, like, bring her into the house and all these jokes about how she's cute and all this. And then, then you're ruining the wedding with this. I was like, this is crazy. So I 100% agree with you. They lose me a lot. And I think it's just a weird group. I think the mom is the best of them.
Badass.
But still not iconic.
Yeah, no, I agree. And to your point, with episode 3, it was so weird. Like, if you wanted the Bengals, so you had her in your house, you had her in your turf. What? Why didn't you take her then versus wait? Like, and I can't remember from episode 3. What was it when she said that she decided to go evil and wanted to like kill her now and take it. Was there a scene, if I'm missing, Amanda? Was it a point when she was like, I didn't want to, what, am I missing something?
I think it was like at the wedding, like right before the brother's wedding. That's when the snap happened, and Cameron was like, I have to go save her, type of thing.
Yeah, something about not like them not being able to go back where they
wasn't
came
gonna
from.
Okay.
She's like, oh, I'm not gonna do that.
Didn't want to help. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Something
I was gonna say, because if it went from, like Chris alluded to, 0 her, you're cute, to 100, it's like, what, did we miss a scene? But yeah, I guess, and it's still kind of, it's still a little weak. Yeah. Like, again, because why not just take the bangle when she's there in your house? But that's another conversation for another day. But getting back to again, it's a balance, like Amanda said. It's this superhero MCU connections, world building that's not all the way fleshed out, but then they get us with a human emotion, right? And the moment that she has on the roof with her grandmother about self-discovery, and life isn't like a predetermined, this is, A, B, C, and D. You can be discovering yourself from when you're 16 all the way to her grandmother's age, which I love that message there, that you don't always have to have life figured out. Amanda, your thoughts, and again, the charming nature and the human emotions that builds characters and builds depth, and how important family is to her.
Yeah, apart from the green screen just taking me out of the scene.
I was ignored it. Yeah, I was like, I love the dialogue. But yeah.
I was like, let me listen to the conversation and read the dialogue. Like it was, it's a beautiful moment. I think I'm so close to my grandparents, so I think to hear them, to hear seniors and older people talk about them discovering themselves and always trying new things and to live in the moment, I think that's the most important takeaway from that conversation. It was really nice. It was great. And I feel like there should be more scenes involving grandparents and grandchildren, just because there's so much there and they don't really like dive into the connection between the two sometimes. And I think it's really important.
Well said. Well said. Chris, your thoughts on this? And also too, Kamala going on the beach, meeting new people, again, getting more of just a different perspective, eating the naan on the bag, and just, those little moments that, again, builds a character. So when we talked about earlier, when she gets those superhero moments, it's like, oh man, I remember the time when she was talking to grandmother, I remember the time she was eating, just builds that character.
Yeah, I don't have much to add here, but I think it's important, these grandma scenes, because so many times in like movie and TV shows, it's always the grandmas who or the grandparents that just don't get it, or they're just like kind of like aloof or clueless and like, oh, silly grandma, silly grandpa. But this was like, it's like a real moment to like humanize her and like make it like, oh no, like she's out here like sharp and witty and just being helpful. So I was like, this is a great like view of grandparents.
I agree, man. It was a really great scene, and even the scene when she has with her daughter, and again, we talked about earlier as far as Kamala's mom feeling like her mom, when she was a kid, her mom was kind of obsessed with the theories and all the stuff going on with the bangle that she kind of forgot about her as a child. So I like, they're hitting you with the emotions, which is always great. But this is where, we saw Kamala. She's training now slightly. I don't know how much training she's spent with them, but, she's getting a little bit of time with the Red Daggers and the main guy. And party's crashed by, again, the Jin characters. And this is where the episode, to me, took a little bit of a dip in the quality, because I'm not too fond of the action so far. I'm not gonna lie. It's not up to the par as from what I'm expecting. Again, I'm not expecting Winter Soldier type of hand-to-hand combat, but it just feels low budget, and it feels a little CW, a little cheap. A little cheap. Amanda, am I over criticizing it, or do you feel like, again, when the show leans more into the action, it's not as handled as well as the character stuff?
You said it. I mean, if there's balance, there's balance. But like in this show in particular, like the action and the superhero stuff is really suffering because there's such great character development and storytelling for these characters that it's taken away from the action, which we kind of need. We can't forget about that. It's important to even shape her as a well-rounded hero. But yeah, it was a bit all over the place. Editing wasn't my favorite in this episode. I just want her to do more, and I feel like there's so many people telling her not to do more, and I think that that's kind of where it's holding me back, and it's not clean cut. I wish it was a bit more polished, and I feel like that the more episodes that come out for Ms. Marvel, it's not as polished as the first two that came out.
I agree. Chris, man, anything to add as far as this chase sequence, the Jin coming in, messing up shop, wrecking shop, and also to Marvel, this guy again, I think his name is not Kareem, this guy here, but his uncle or his close friend or his mentor, they killed him. Like, this guy seems so cool,
No,
so badass to me. They
that
killed
was
him.
the only thing I was gonna say about this scene is how weak it was that they took him out so easy with
Yeah,
the.
man. It's like, come
I was
on.
like, wait, what is this? And then they just made him look super weak, and I was like, that was my qualm with this whole scene. The Jin group is so weak, minus the mom, but killing my dog, he looked too cool to be going out
Too
like that.
cool.
You build him up
Yeah.
crazy. He looked like a boss, like he was like going to be some real static, but that was nuts. I was
I
like, this is
hate that.
outrageous.
I hate when they kill a good, like, interesting, compelling
You see that
side character
beard?
that you have. But the man was fire, bro. The man was
Woo!
he knew what he was doing. He's a boss, and they took him out. I
Yeah.
mean, Amanda, we got the multiverse, so there's another one out there.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say it.
So hopefully
Literally.
we find a way. We find a way. But wrapping up the episode, we end again with the action piece, and Kareem and Kamala are ready to fight, and then this is where the leader comes in, hits the bangle, and we get the flashback sequence with the train. She's now back in 1943, and I'm assuming, Amanda, your thoughts on this final sequence is that, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a much different vision. This seems like this is reality, that she's going back in time and she's going to go on this journey of, obviously with her grandmother, losing her mother, being separated, and all the stuff that went down in 43. Is that the case? Are we going to have a flashback centric episode, or this is just one big elaborate vision?
I hope it's a vision, because if we're starting with time travel with this thing, like I'm
We're
gonna
getting more
actually.
episodes.
I think we are. I think we are, man. I'm serious. I think we are.
My head hurts even like what? If we do, and then she's pretty awesome. She's even more awesome than that. If that Bengal
That
allows
bangle is
but
OP if that's the case.
damn. I don't know. I hope it's just not messy. That's it. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see more of her powers. I'm excited to go back into her roots.
Go
I think
back
that's
and-
really
yeah.
important as an introduction to this character and her powers and how they coincide, especially with the family. But man, that's going to be heavy-handed 5 and 6 if that's what we're getting on top of everything that we got in 3 and 4. Like, that's a lot.
Because honestly, unlike a Moon Knight, when you can have a Stephen Grant go into some type of mine and do that, there was like Layla and there was other characters that you can explore, Arthur, but if they do that, like, I don't know if it's going to be strictly Kamala in the past, because there's no other supporting characters that has much of a plot without Kamala being involved. Like, I don't know if we're going to check in with Bruno next week, or it's just going to be all of her in her grandmother's, or say her great grandmother's body, exploring whatever happened and maybe reuniting the family and maybe changing time. I don't know, Chris. This is a lot, man.
Could be a cameo, though. There could be a cameo if they're going back in. I don't know, but if they're going back in time, it could be someone dropping in. I don't know.
Captain America. Just joking.
That
I mean,
not even funny, Chris. That is the. I mean, that's around the. Oh, I gotta look back. I can't remember what. I think it was the 40s. Yeah, it was war.
Yeah, no, the war for sure. Yeah,
yeah. So
it's a
I mean, I doubt it. I mean, Chris Evans has said blatantly that he doesn't want to come back, but it might be an allusion to like a poster of Captain America or something like that. But your thoughts, Chris, on if we're dealing with time travel and getting like a throwback, not a throwback, but like a flashback focused episode of her going in the past and maybe changing the past, which will in return change the future.
I have no idea, but when I was watching it, I thought that she went back in time, and I was like, but I didn't know how, like how would they get her out of there? Like, what will she do to get out? So it'd be easier to explain it if you are writing it as a vision or like a, I'm letting you see this, but then you're not really there. Like, that's easier to like get us back because there's only 2 more episodes. But when I was watching it, I was like, oh, now she's in 1942. Oh, okay, now. How does anyone get out of there? And also, like, no one's looking at her crazy. Like, she's dressed. Didn't she dress like what she left in? Like, no one's looking at her crazy.
And that's what's so weird when they do stuff like that. Because again, I'm assuming that she's in her great grandmother's body, and we're seeing her within the clothes that she was wearing. But obviously, next week they're going to show us with her, like the grandmother being there.
Got it. Okay,
at least I assume. But
yeah. No, I think that's a good point. But yeah, I was like, okay, 2 episodes. Let's see what you got.
Let's see. And again, to cap it off as we open it, they end with a fire soundtrack. They end with another great, moment to end the episode as far as the soundtrack goes. That's been fire. So overall, Amanda, giving you the stage here as far as just where you're at after this 4th episode. And again, I know it's a lot that we speculate about, but is there anything I guess you would want to see come next week, with it being the 5th, second to last episode?
You know what? On her costume at this point. I kind of want her costume.
I think this episode they alluded to it, right? Because this is very similar to her
very
costume.
Similar. Yeah. So I think I'm looking forward to her being fully suited, well-rounded superhero by the end of this. I don't know what other theories I could come up with. Hopefully there is a cameo. I think it's necessary to have a cameo in this case if they're going to tie things
That's the
together.
question, right?
But yeah, that's I'm sitting there. I like this episode better than last week, so
I agree.
I hope it sticks the landing.
Same.
Because they have to, like in this finale, they have to bring everything together, and there's too much information. So we'll see what happens.
Which I'm just in, Chris, definitely want to get your thoughts on this ending and what you hope to see. But just thinking of all the other shows, I guess we're leading to the reveal. The big MacGuffin, big thing in the show is the reveal of the Bengals and the mystery of that. But it's like, what are we leading to at the end of the day? Moon Knight was defeating Arthur, stopping the world from, the gods and all that stuff. But like, what is the end game with this show?
I have no idea. I really do hope we get a cameo, and maybe the end game is her getting recruited to join
Captain Marvel. Or yes. I honestly see Monica Rambeau appearing more than I do Brie Larson.
I agree with that. And I think I can see an ending where they team up and it says Miss Marvel will be back.
Will return.
Yeah,
that's where I can see it going. I don't see I don't see like a big bad that she can handle.
I think at this point the Jins are the big bad. She's gonna have to take out that dude's mom.
Yeah, that dude sucks anyways.
Yeah. I think that's what we're leading to, and I think when because again, I can't remember the name of the group, but Sword, I guess, but they recruited her at the end of WandaVision. So to your point, Chris, I can very much see a scene where Monica Rambeau is coming to recruit Kamala, and we're going to get them in the Marvels. But again, I think we can all agree, if it wasn't for the great performances of Amon, her parents, the family dynamic, the comedy beats, the coming of age story, the show wouldn't be all that great, because some of that other elements, the action, the villains, the mystery isn't really equaling or on par with other stuff. So hopefully, to Chris's point, to Amanda's point, episodes 5 and 6, they find a way. They can do it. You never know. I have faith in that these writers and these creators who love this character are going to give us that balance that we kind of been missing these first 4 episodes. But I'm excited. And more or less, I was more excited to be talking about this episode with these two great folks on the screen here. And I'm so glad we're able to do so. If time allows it, if next week's allow it, we might be back for episode 5 and maybe 6. But just take what you all have here and like it, share it, comment on it. Because these two folks, I love interacting with them. And I'm so glad I was able to have them on to talk about this episode. But wrapping it up, Amanda, what's next for the people at home as far as content, reviews, written reviews, interviews, all the great stuff you got from the folks? What's next for Candid Cinemas?
Yeah, for sure. Well, this was so much fun. I love talking to you guys about this stuff. You guys are both amazing and have been killing it on all social medias. You guys are awesome. You guys can follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at 7:45 p.m. Eastern tonight over at the Suit Up Geeks. We will have a spoiler breakdown of episode 4 of Miss Marvel. For me, I have my Only Murders in the Building Season 2 review up right now on my website, candidcinema.com. And then my Thor review will probably be up next Tuesday. So you can keep it locked on there and my socials. And that's what I have coming up. Yeah.
Awesome. Again, check her out tonight. You said over at the Get Up Suits, they're going to be talking about it tonight, and I'm very excited to hear more of Amanda's thoughts of Thor: Love and Thunder. So check her out, guys. Links are in the bio or description of this video. Chris, man, same for you. I saw you posted your Upshaws. I saw part 1, which alludes to another one coming soon. But outside of that, man, what's next on Tait's Take?
Yeah, what's up? What's next on Tait's Take? Who even knows? I'm back on my true crime, actually. I'm back on my Netflix true crime. You know, I love those little stupid stories. It's so creepy and so freaky, but they have one that's coming out, I think, next week. So I gotta check that out. I think it's called The Girl in the Picture. So I'm gonna check that out. And like I said, my Upshaws review is up now. And for those folks who were big onto season 1, that show was number 1 for a little bit on Netflix. So that review's up there now. I got a quick piece on Elvis on my TikTok. You can check that out. And I'm actually going to check out tomorrow Black Phone. So maybe I'll do a quick little TikTok to see how scared I am after watching that movie. I know we've got 2 people who think differently of this movie. So maybe I'll break the tie. So, yeah, that's what's going on over here at Taste Take.
There it is. And by the way, Chris, what is your TikTok, bro?
My TikTok is just Taste Take straight.
Okay.
It should be just there.
Cool.
But yeah, we out here.
I'm gonna follow you, bro. Do it right now.
Yeah,
yes,
like,
definitely.
Yeah.
Heard it. Definitely excited to hear your thoughts. There it is, guys. I'm gonna leave and again, I'm gonna leave all their information in the bio. But yep, see it here. But yes, I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on Black Phone, which I know Amanda wasn't the biggest fan of, and I agree with the lack of Ethan Hawke. But those kid actors, they really kind of did it for me. But
yeah,
I know one thing I'm looking forward to this weekend, guys. Stranger Things.
Oh,
Volume 2. Chris, are you a Stranger Things fans?
I am a Stranger Things fan, but I am so behind on the new season. I am behind.
I didn't watch season 2 or 3, and I love 4. So
wait, what?
Yeah, I fell off of season 2 because I just did not like what was happening in 2, and then I gave up on 3, and then I'm like,
wait, you just skipped over all of that?
I just skipped over 3, or else I remember what happened in 2 before. I'm like,
wait, so to this day, you still haven't seen 3?
Oh,
I should.
You don't know what happened to Billy, and well, I guess you know what happened to Billy. Well, I don't want to spoil it because Chris hasn't seen it, but yeah,
I read some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen everything up until the new season, so like I'm there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm super stoked. Like Amanda and Chris, I am super high on Stranger Things cocaine right now. I am so excited for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm gonna watch all the 19 hours of the last 2 episodes.
It's
so long, but I'm here for it, bro. And I'm so surprised they didn't put it in theaters because I thought it would have been so epic, especially considering that they say the finale, which is 2.5 hours, they said that the season finale has more visual effects and is larger than the entirety of season 3, which blows my mind. Netflix got that cash, but that's another conversation for another day. But either way, Amanda, Chris, thank you all for joining me again. If the time allows it, hopefully we can maybe link up to talk episodes 5 and 6. But if not, hopefully we can link up to talk about Thor a little bit more, Thor, Love and Thunder. But anyway, guys, like, share, comment, of course, subscribe. Check out Amanda's information, Chris's information, and you're going to be happy you did so because they're 2 awesome people. So with all that being said, we'll catch you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.
Peace.